How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Manatee Gaming. So in today's video, I'm going to be using the whiteboard. I'm going to show you guys how to do some crazy flips during times like this when Solak is screwing up the entire market, because right now there actually are some really good flips to take advantage of. I was not even really trying earlier, and I was mostly doing price checks for our Discord, which in our Discord we do have flipping and everything in the Discord. You can check it out down below in the description. But I was doing price checks for people and ended up making a ton of money without even really trying to. That is just how crazy the market is right now, and I'm going to show you guys some tricks and some things to avoid in order to make a lot of profit during a time like this. So let's go ahead and start by using an example of an item. We'll go ahead and use an example of something that I did today. Something I did today was I instantly bought a seismic singularity, and I instantly bought that thing for 180 million. Now, just a few minutes later, I non-instantly sold it for 188 million, or 187. I think it was like 187. Now, here's the thing. How did that happen? Flipping tells us, like a typical PC, a typical price check tells us that when we instantly buy something, we should sell it back for that price because that's the high price, right? Not during a time when that's, the market's all crazy and everything, and I'll explain how that works. So let's say right here, we've got someone that is selling a seismic singularity, and they're selling it for 180. We got another person selling one for 190, and we got another person selling one for 195. Okay, so you notice how there's a huge gap in those numbers. Now, the reason why there's such a big gap in the numbers right now, and there's not usually this much of a gap in there, is because of times like this where prices are going nuts. Seismic singularity has gone from like 120 million or whatever all the way up to 180 million within the last 2 days. So people are not really used to that. The reason why they've gone up so high is because the demand has outmatched the supply, which means there's less seismic singularities in the Grand Exchange than people actually are trying to buy, which means it just keeps going up. So that is the reason why it looks like this now, when usually it might look something like 121, 121.2, 121.3, 122. Okay, so like that's an example of what it would normally probably look like, and I realize you guys probably can't read that for crack. The reason why, this is what it normally looks like because there's more in the Grand Exchange than the supply is like equal to the demand. It's not really rising, it's not really falling, it's just kind of floating there, and there's plenty of offers in there, which means that if you try to put yours in for 124, you might be waiting for a very long time for it to sell, or if it will ever sell. And the reason why is because there's just so many people with offers that are lower than you. So what happened today, and how does this happen where the prices are so stretched out? So like I said, there's less supply than there is demand, which means there's more people trying to buy it than there are people trying to sell it. So automatically, there's going to be a much wider margin. The margin is in here. And there's also going to be a much less supply. There's going to be less people selling it. So how did I instantly buy one and then non-instantly sell it for higher? Pretty simple. Some of you probably already figured it out. So right here, I instantly bought this one. I bought the one for 180 million. So I took that offer out, right? It's not there anymore because I just bought it. Obviously, it's not there anymore. So now that I have that, I put it in there for, let's say 188, right? So now I am 188. Am I lower than the next person selling it? Ooh, there we go. Yes, I am, because they have it for 190, which means within a few minutes, somebody bought mine. There you go. That's as simple as it works, because when you put an offer in the Grand Exchange, the one that you buy is you're always going to buy the one that is the lowest. So whoever is selling it for the lowest, that's the one that's actually going to sell. And currently, mine was the lowest because there was nobody else selling it anywhere in between 180 and 188. There was literally nobody there. Nobody. And that is because there's low supply. Now, how can you take advantage of that? Well, you can take advantage of that by doing very similar steps. But the only thing is, though, is if I instantly bought it for 180, though, that means I probably could have bought that thing for like way less. I probably could have paid like 165 to 170, realistically, because the fact that I instantly bought that one, which means that there was, I could have offered lower. So I'm not saying to go instantly buy everything, but I'm just explaining to you that when you do instantly buy something like this, then at least there's still options. Now here, Let me show you another example because this is something else that has been happening quite often today, and actually happens, pretty regularly in the flipping world. And that is when someone says, let's say that someone does a price check, right? So somebody does a price check, and like for example, in our Discord, in our Patreon, in our flipping section of the Patreon, this happened today. So I'll go ahead and use that as an example. I did a price check. So a price check was I bought something instantly. Now let's say that whatever item, mystery item, I bought for $190. So I took this offer out of the Grand Exchange. There you go. Which means that this is the only one left in the Grand Exchange. Now let's say that right after I bought that one though, somebody else put one in there for $180. It can happen like, there's no time frame. I mean, who knows? Who knows when they put it in there? But whenever they put it in there, they put it in there right after I bought that one. Now, what I could post as the range for this is I could post as 180 to buy it, 190 to sell it. Because of the fact that I just bought this for 190 and I totally just drew that outside of the, there we go. So, if I bought this for 190 and we've been getting 10 million margins on our item all day long, then I know that the buy is probably around 180, the sell is probably around 190, right? Because I just instantly bought this, must be there. So somebody else puts an offer in there though, and they put the offer in there for 180. Now when someone puts that offer in there for 180, guess what happens to the next person who tries to buy it non-instantly for 180? What happens to that person? They buy this one. And then they're like, dude, I just instantly bought it for 180. And I'm sitting there over there like, well, I just instantly bought it for 190. Now, we've taken these two offers out. What do we still have? This offer. So now, essentially, anything that you put in the Grand Exchange for less than 195 is going to sell. So if that person was like, oh, okay, well, if you instantly bought it for that, and I just bought this one, and we know prices are nuts, then maybe I'll try like 193. And then within like who knows how much time, somebody is probably going to buy that one, and that person just made a 13 million gold flip by buying it for this price. So they paid 180 and they just sold it for 193. It didn't make any sense in like a quick context. When you're trying to think about it, you're like, how did that even work? He just instantly bought it for 190. You just non-instantly bought it for 180, and now you somehow sold it for 193? What? That right there is how it happened. That is how it happened, and that is how a lot of prices happen during a time like this, during a time like Solak, screwing up the entire market. And that is the reason why it is very difficult to track what prices are, what's going on with prices. Now, what do we know? What we can tell by this is that there's pretty much a clear path. Now, if this actually happened, if 180 happened to 193 happened, we know there is a clear path between 180 and 193. There's pretty much nobody selling anything between 180 and 193. We know there's a huge gap, which means that the next person who would see these numbers would be like, oh, okay. If you see these numbers, then you can tell what to buy and sell at. You could be like, okay, I can pay 180, I can sell 193. You could even go higher. You don't know this exists, by the way. No one actually can see this. No one can see that offer in the Grand Exchange. No one has any idea that offer is in the Grand Exchange, because obviously no one has bought it, no one has sold it, no one even knows it exists. Who knows? This one might be 250 actually. It might not even be 195, and then we're all just looking dumb because we lost tons of money. The thing is, though, is when prices are going like they currently are, the big thing I want you guys to do is to not go for low margins. Don't go for little bitty baby margins. So that is the last thing I want to show you right here as far as trying to make a lot of money during a time like this, is I'm going to show you guys what not to do. There's so many things I want to tell you, but I can't tell you all of them in one video because that will just be one ridiculously long video, although probably quite informational. Anyway, this is what I do not want any of you to do because it just doesn't make any sense. If you've been seeing these price reports, let's say someone's like, I instantly bought it for 170, and then 5 minutes later someone's like, I instantly bought it for 185. And then 5 minutes later, someone's like, I instantly bought it for 200. Now, let's say that item is a seismic singularity. We're going to use that as an example because that's an item that pretty much that most people flipping couldn't probably afford. So we're going to use that one for an example, and also it's somewhat similar to this price range too. So it kind of applies. On a given day, on a normal day, normal day that's not affected by SOLAC, seismic singularity might have a margin of anywhere from 1.5 million to 2.5 million. That is kind of the average margin of a seismic singularity. That doesn't mean it's always that way. It can be higher, it can be lower. That's just the average. So a person who is not really thinking too much about what's going on in the market currently might make an offer like this. They might see 170, 185, 200, and they might go, oh, well, then I'll buy it for 197. And they offer 197 because of the fact that they're like, well, if I offer 197 million gold to this, then that means that probably I'll be able to buy this because, the margin is usually somewhere close to that. I'm stretching a little bit because, 2.5, and now I'm actually looking for a 3 million margin. That's pretty good, right? And also, I'll be able to buy this one quickly and sell it quickly and make some quick cash. That's really not a good idea. Really, really, really not a good idea. A couple reasons why. Number one, you're missing out on way too much money. You're missing out on way too much money because if you notice, there's a 15 million gap in between all three of these prices, which means that in order for someone to buy something, there has to be someone selling it. There's got to be someone selling it. So the person who bought this, they bought it. They bought this one. This person bought this one. This person bought this one. There has to be someone selling these in order for them to buy them. Which means that if you are going to buy yours for 197, that doesn't even make any sense because there's a 15 million gap that we can literally see on the table in between each one of the items. So how much should you be offering? I don't know, maybe something like 186. 186 is not a terrible offer because of the fact that we know that there's a previous one going for 185. We also know that if this person was reporting it to the forums or reporting it to a friend chat, other people saw this and they might be offering 185. So you offering 186 is a competitive offer. It also is a pretty hefty margin. You're looking at a 14 million profit there, a lot better than a 3 million profit, right? Yeah, way better than that. And then, yeah, it's kind of like a known value. We've been seeing 15 mil gaps throughout the entire way. Why not try to go for something close to 15? But the only thing is, though, is if you haven't heard of anyone selling it, so you're like, okay, person buying it, person buying it, person buying it. All we have is buy reports, right? Someone said buy 170, buy 185, buy 200. We didn't see anyone or hear anyone say anything about selling the item. So we don't actually know what, we don't actually know where we're going to be able to buy that. Because in order for us to buy it, someone has to sell it. We don't know where that is. It could be all the way back here. It could be all the way back to 170. We might offer 171. And we might buy it. And then we might be able to turn around and sell it for 200. Or sell it for higher. Because obviously, if somebody bought it for 200, that means the 200 offer is gone, right? So what's the next offer? We have no idea what the next offer is. No idea. It could be 205. It could be another 200. It could be 220. It could be 3 billion. Who knows? Well, it can't be 3 billion. You know what I'm saying. It can be anything out there in the clouds. We have no idea what it is. So realistically, all I'm saying, okay. So what to gather from this? Let me bring this all back and unconfuse you all. What I'm saying is don't offer a dumb price like this. This is a dumb price because the reason why this is a dumb price, aside from the fact you're only going to be making 3 million when you can clearly see the margin is bigger than 3 million. That's a no-brainer. You're also not leaving yourself any room in case the item goes back down. Let's say this 200 right there was the only 200 that's ever going to sell, and the next ones are going to be 185. It's going to go back to 185. If it goes back to 185 and you just paid 197, you're out 12 million gold no matter what. But if you paid 186, you're out 1 million. You might not even be out 1 million because you might make that sale at 186. So not only are you looking at a much better margin, you're also keeping a much safer distance in case the item crashes. If you're offering 171, then I mean, you pretty much don't have anything to worry about as far as the item crashing. But you also have to worry about the fact that there's probably going to be other people offering higher than that price by now, because the last two prices people even saw was 200 and 185. You got to remember that when people report stuff to a friend chat or report stuff to a forum, multiple people see that, so multiple people put out offers for these items at the same time. You're not the only one buying it. Maybe. You're most likely not the only one buying it. Which means that there might be brand new fresh offers that are like right here or right here or right here. You know, so if you're back here, then okay, this one sells, but a new one pops up, a new one pops up, a new one pops up, this one sells, but a new one pops up, a new one pops up. You see how that works? See how that keeps floating around, like someone succeeds, someone new comes in, someone succeeds, someone new comes in. That's how you never get a movement on your offers, because people will constantly come in and out, come in and out, in and out, in and out. Eventually, enough of this in and out, and people reporting prices, and you're never going to see this price again, because the fact that the margin is just, you know, people don't think it's going to go that low anymore, and so people are always offering higher. But, so you know, you do run that risk. So over here, you've got the risk of losing a bunch of money if it crashes and also not making a good profit. Here you've got the risk of it may never complete. That's a problem. And right here seems to be the smartest, like, in between. So you've got bad, too safe, and probably just right. Now, this is literally just an example of what can happen with an item. There really is no perfect answer to this. I'm not saying the 186 in this example is the perfect answer to this, but it also has a lot of reasons as to why it's a smart choice versus something like the 197, which doesn't make any sense at all. I see too many people that they get scared. That's honestly what it is. They get scared because they're like, man, if I don't pay enough, then I'm not going to get one. It's the FOMO. It's the fear of missing out. You know, they're like, man, it's rising too fast. I got to hurry up and buy one. That's not a good thing to think, because of the fact that, I mean, yes, in a sense, you could be right. It might be rising too fast, you won't get one. But the only thing is, though, if it turns and goes back the other way, you're screwed. You can lose a lot of money by doing that, a lot of money. Staphylus is a great example of how you can lose a ton of money. I lost like 90 million gold chasing a Staphylus at one time because I was too excited. I was like, man, it's going to keep on going up. And guess what? It didn't. So I lost money. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Really hope you enjoyed it. Really hope this is an informational video that's going to help you guys flip a little bit better in times like this. If you guys have more questions, please feel free to put them in the comments below. If you would also like to see other topics involving this crazy flipping stuff that I did not cover in this video, which there are tons of them, then put it in the comments below. Maybe I'll hop on here and make that video for you. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. If you are a supporter of the channel and you are a person on the Patreon, thank you so much. Also, we started a brand new month. We have a whole bunch of really cool stuff coming out on the Patreon. I'm actually going to make a video about that coming up soon. So if you want to go check that stuff out and you want to get a full month of the Patreon, because the way it works is it's like a monthly donation. So if you sign up at the beginning of the month, you get the entire month. It's just the way Patreon's set up. I don't know what's done. But anyway, it's the beginning of the month, so go check it out. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.